Alright, so we're gonna do a little story time. So this story is about how me and an old friend of mine went to Miami for me to go get my boobs done. And so basically, I hit her up. I already had moved to New York at this time, and she still lives in Boston. And I hit her up and I said, hey, like, if you're not doing nothing, such and such a date, I want you to come with me to Miami so I could go and get my boobs done. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm with it. I'm having some issues with my man right now. So yeah, I'm with it, right? Okay, cool. So I fly out from JFK, she flies out from Logan, and we meet in Miami. So we get to Miami, and we check into our hotel room that I booked for us, and yeah, we went to go eat. It was the day before my surgery or whatever. So I basically wanted to, eat and then go to bed because I had to be up dumb early for my surgery. All right. So she wanted to go out that night, and I was like, all right, like, that's cool. You go out. She knew some people that already lived out there. So she hit them up, and I said, all right, cool. Like, just, yeah. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, just be safe. And all right. So I go to sleep. She goes out, and I don't know, a few hours later, she was back. Cool. So in the morning, we wake up and we take a cab to my appointment. So I had my surgery done. Everything was great. And, after that, I just obviously went back to the hotel to sleep. And I was on my medication, and that was that. So after that, I ended up, we wake up in the morning, and everything was fine. We got up, we went to eat, and I wasn't feeling too bad. So I'm like, yo, like, I just feel mad pressure, but I'm straight. So after that, so this is where things start to get a little interesting. So we end up going shopping. There was this dude that she already knew out there who actually picked us up that morning to go shopping. So she's like, oh, I know somebody, he's cool, he used to live in Boston, yada yada yada, like, I know him, and he wants us to go shopping or whatever with him. So I'm like, all right, like, cool. Like, I wasn't in pain, so I'm like, all right, like, I'm straight, like, we could go shopping or whatever. So we end up going shopping with the dude. And he was really nice, and really nice. He made sure I was comfortable, whatever. Obviously, after having surgery, he was just like looking out for us, making sure that we were straight. So then he's like, yo, y'all want to go out tonight? And I'm like, so he's like, y'all want to go out tonight? And I'm like, no. Like, first of all, I came here and I just had a surgery, and then two, I didn't bring shit to wear to go out nowhere but the fucking spot in the hotel. So now she's like, Farrah, come on, like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, I'm fine, I'm good. Like, I just feel pressure, I don't feel pain. And she's like, oh, like, we just go out, like, to a small spot, like, just to, like, get something to eat, and like, it's not gonna be no club shit, it's not gonna be nothing like that, whatever, like, let's just go out. She's like, I got a couple things, I brought some stuff, like, see if this fits you, see if that fits you, see if this fits you. And I'm just like, girl, like. So at this point, I'm like, all right, let's go out, fuck it, like, whatever. So she ends up giving me like a shirt that she had or whatever, and I already had like pants or whatever, so I'm like, all right, fuck it, like, let's just go out. So we end up going to like this one spot. We end up going to this one spot or whatever. It was like some like low-key like pool mixer type of thing or whatever. There was like a pool in the middle of like, I don't know, whatever. So we end up eating there, and it was a cool little vibe or whatever. So she starts making phone calls to all these people that she know that live in Miami, and she's just like trying to make like big plans. Like, she trying to go outside. So I'm just like, girl, like, where you going? She's like, oh nah, like I know somebody who lives in Miami who got the connect at Live. Like, we good, we should go to Live, it's gonna be lit, da da da, whatever. And so the dude that she knows that we like linked with earlier to go shopping, he was with us. So he's like, yeah, like I know people that could get us into Live, like it's gonna be lit, like we go for just a little bit or whatever. I'm like, Live? Like, I thought we just came to eat. Like, I did not think we was going like outside for real. So after that, I'm like, oh, she's like, how are you feeling? Like, you know, are you in pain? Are you good? I'm like, I mean, I'm all right, but I don't think like we should be doing all of this. Like, if y'all want to go, you guys go, but like I don't think I'm gonna do all of that. And she's like, come on, da 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 da. Like, she's just trying to drag me to go outside, and I'm like, all right, let's go. Okay, so we end up getting on some party bus. We get on some party bus, and we take that party bus to Live. Okay, so we get to Live, and her connect actually came through. Like, we didn't wait in line, nothing. We didn't pay $1 to get in. We got in, and we was in, right? So now I'm like, all right, like I'm gonna go to the bathroom and, you know, obviously make sure like I'm straight or whatever before we start walking around this club. So we go to the bathroom, and you know, I make sure like we just check ourselves, you know what girls do. Okay, so after that we end up like leaving the bathroom. So as we're leaving the bathroom, a girl ends up bumping into me because it's mad crowded in there, right? So the girl ends up bumping into me or whatever, and I'm like instantly pissed. I'm like, at that moment is when I'm like, why the fuck am I here? So I'm like I just realized, like, yo, I'm doing too fucking much for a bitch that just had surgery yesterday. Like, I'm doing the most. So she was trying to get lit, and the issues that she had going on with her man, whatever, she just wanted to like get lit and have fun. So I'm like, all right, but we're not staying mad long. Like, I'm already like irritated. Okay, so she's like, nah, like I'm just gonna take a couple, like I'm just gonna have a drink, and you know, and then we can leave, whatever. I'm like, okay. So a drink turned into 2 drinks, that turned into 3 drinks, that turned into shots, right? So at this point, I'm obviously not drinking because I'm like on medication or whatever. So the dude that came with us, he's like, you know, he's with us, like around us or whatever, and he's drinking, she's drinking, and I'm just like standing there for real, getting pushed around, right? Getting pissed. So I'm like, yo, like, y'all can stay. I'm just gonna take a cab back to dude's house or whatever, to get my stuff and go back to my hotel room, because we got dressed at his house to go out. So I had mad shit there. So I'm like, I'm gonna go and get my stuff, and I'm gonna go back to the hotel, which is where my pain medications were, because at this point I came in with like maybe like a 2 in pain, and by the time I was ready to go, after being pushed around all fucking night. Yeah, I was at a 6. So she's drinking, she's getting lit, dude's drinking, he's getting lit, and Farrah, the big dummy, is sitting there like so at this point, I'm like telling her like, yo, like I want to leave. Like, do you want to stay? Because if you do, that's fine. Like, you stay, I'm gonna leave. She's like, oh, one more drink, one more shot, and then after we go, like we'll go together or whatever. I'm like, all right, well, while you do that, I'm gonna go outside and wait for you, because I'm getting like literally tossed around in here. That club is mad packed. If you guys been to Live, then you know what I'm talking about. It's mad packed. So at this point, I'm about to leave and go stand outside and wait for her. And she starts dancing with some dude, right? So she's dancing with this dude. And the dude that we came with, I didn't know if they had history. I didn't know what the fuck. I thought that they were just friends. They knew each other from Boston. So for some reason, her dancing with the dude, some dude, this dude gets pissed. He's big pissed. Like, he's like on 10. And I'm like, so I don't even know. I'm like, I'm gonna go wait for y'all outside, right? So I go outside. I'm waiting there, you know, I'm giving her some time to dance and do whatever, because like I'm not trying to be like rushing nobody. But then at the end of the day, it's like, girl, like, you know, I just had surgery. So if I'm telling you I'm in pain and I'm telling you I want to go, like, you don't think like it's time to go. So at this point, I'm outside, and a couple minutes later, I see the dude that we came with storming out the club. And he's like, yo, your friend, And I'm just like, where is she? And he's like, oh, she's inside with some nigga. She's dancing with some nigga, right? And I'm like, okay, let me try to call her. So I'm calling her. She's not answering. I'm calling her. She's not answering. I'm calling this girl. She's not answering. So at this point, I'm like, yo, go in there and get her. Like, and he's like, nah, I'm not fucking with her. Like, I'm not fucking with her. Like, he's like going off. And I'm like mad confused, because I'm just like, what's happening here? Like right now. Like, are you good? Because I don't get it. So after us calling her, maybe a good like 30 minutes calling her, and he even went back inside and looked for her, but then came back out talking about he can't find her. So I'm like, bruh. So I'm texting her like, girl, like I don't want to leave you, but I'm in pain at this point. Like, I have to go. Like, I'm gonna just go. And so I'm calling you, you're not answering. Like, at this point, it is what it is. Like, I'm out, right? I send her that text, and I get on my phone to see if I can get an Uber or something. And here she comes stumbling out the club. So she's like, oh my God, Farrah, I was looking for you. What are you doing out here? I'm looking at her like, girl, I've been out here. Like, I've been calling you. Like, I've been texting you. Like, what? So at this point, I'm just like, you know what? Whatever. Like, let's just see if we could get a cab or something. Let's go get our stuff and let's go back to the hotel room. She's like, all right. So, I order us an Uber or whatever. Or did the guy order it? I don't know. Anyway, somebody ordered an Uber. So, Uber comes. We get in the Uber. And the dude is like big pissed. Like, he's like not even speaking to us. Like, she's like, yo, da-da-da. Like, did you have fun? Like, she's trying to tap him. And the nigga is just like, not fucking with it at all. All right, so at this point, we get back to his hotel or his room. I don't know. Airbnb. I don't fucking know. So we get there. And I'm like, oh my God. All right, let's get our stuff and let's go. So We get upstairs and I'm packing my stuff, and I'm trying to tell her like, yo, get your stuff. After I finish packing my stuff, I go in the other room thinking she's packing her shit, and she's sitting there trying to talk to the dude, because I guess she was trying to figure out why he was upset. So I'm like, yo, like, get your stuff. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm trying to leave. And she's like, all right, Farrah, I got you. Just give me a second. Like, I'm just going to go talk to him. Like, give me a second. And I'm just like, all right, like, I'm going to order us a Uber. Like, get your stuff. So she's fake packing her stuff. And she's like, and so I'm like, all right, like, I'm going to order the Uber. Like, you ready? Like, I'm going to order the Uber. She's like, yeah, go ahead, order it. I'm like, all right. I order the Uber. And I'm like, yo, the Uber is like 2 minutes away or whatever it was, 3 minutes away. And she's like, okay. I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, let's start going downstairs. She's like, all right, I'm coming. So she goes in the room and locks herself in the room with the dude, and they're arguing. But I just ordered the Uber. So I'm like, what's happening? So at this point, they're arguing, and all I hear them arguing about is she's like, oh, so you not gonna drive us back to the hotel? Like, you not gonna give us a ride? And he's like, nah, like, I'm not fucking with y'all like that. Like, y'all find your own way, y'all this, y'all that. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, the Uber is already called and like outside. So it's like, you arguing with this nigga to take us home, to drive us home, but I just ordered the Uber. Makes no sense to me. So at this point, I'm just like, I just opened the door like, yo, okay, that's fine. Like, you don't want to bring us home, or you don't want to bring us back to our hotel. Like, that's completely fine. Like, let's go. Like, I ordered us an Uber. It's outside. Let's go. She's like, nah, that's fucking crazy. Like, I've known you for mad long. Like, you really not going to take us home, back to the hotel? And he's just like, no. Like, he's big pissed. Like, oh, tell that nigga you was dancing with at the club to take y'all back to the hotel. And I'm just like, none of y'all niggas got to take us nowhere, because the Uber is outside. Like, what? So in the midst of all of this arguing, I look down at my phone, and the fucking Uber driver cancels our shit and charges me like $5 or something for canceling it. And I'm like sick at this point, because not only am I pissed about the fact that like we're doing all of this for no reason, but I'm in pain at this point. Like, I'm at like a good 8 at this point. So I'm like, yo, like, let's go. Now I'm tight, because I'm just like, they just canceled our shit and I'm in pain. Like, I'm not understanding what the fuck. She's like, okay, Farrah, okay. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna order an Uber. If you're not outside when it comes, I'm leaving you. Period. Because you fucking around, I don't got time for y'all niggas. Like, seriously. Just telling this story all over again is like pissing me off. But it was just the fact that it was like, you're mad inconsiderate. Like, granted, I probably should have never took my ass outside, but bitch, like, if you're my friend, like, and I went outside because you wanted to go outside for a little bit, like, girl, like, respect the fact that I'm telling you that I'm trying to leave. Like, what? So I end up getting my stuff, and I tell her like, yo, I'm ordering another Uber. I'm going to be downstairs in the lobby. If you're not downstairs when it gets here, I'm leaving you. Period. I'm not fucking around no more. Period. So I do just that. I leave, and I end up going downstairs to the lobby. I order an Uber, and then I order it and I'm waiting for it. So now she called me, and she's like, hey, like, you still downstairs? And I'm like, yeah, the Uber is like 2 minutes away or whatever, or a minute away. And she's like, okay, I'm getting in the elevator right now, like, I'm coming. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm waiting for her in the lobby. This girl comes out the elevator with none of her shit. Like, she left all her stuff upstairs. So now I'm like screaming at her at this point in the lobby, like, girl, are you dumb? Like, where is your shit? Like, I'm on 10. I'm like, yo, like, what the fuck? Like, are you good? Like, because I'm not understanding. Like, bitch, where's your shit? So in the midst of yelling at her and we're arguing in the lobby, this fucking Uber came and went, bitch. Canceled my shit for the second time. charged me another $5 and went about their fucking night while we sitting here in the fucking lobby arguing. So now I look at my phone and I'm like, are you fucking serious? They really canceled this shit again. Like, I'm pissed. Like, now I'm tight. So she's like, I'm like, yo, go get your shit. Like, I'm not fucking playing. Like, go get your shit. Like, she's like, oh my God, all right. Like, if you want to go so bad, just go. If you want to go, just go. I'm like, you know what, bitch? Say less. Cool. I order a third Uber. She ends up getting in the elevator and going back upstairs. I'm like, fuck this. In my head, I'm like, fuck this bitch. Like, at this point, yeah, fuck this bitch. I order this Uber. I'm like, I'm getting in this damn Uber with or without this bitch. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm ready to fucking die right now at this point with the pain that I'm in, because this shit's like going crazy. So I end up ordering a third Uber. The Uber comes and I get in the Uber. It's about to pull off, and here comes this girl opening the door to my Uber, thinking she was going to get in. I said to her, girl, like, go get your own fucking Uber, fuck out of here, pretty much. She's like, you dead ass? Oh, it's like that? Farrah, I came out here for you. Did you forget? I came out here for you. Da-da-da-da-da, whatever. She's like, all right, it's like that? Okay, I'll remember that. I'll remember that. Da-da. I'm like, girl, I don't give a fuck what you remember. Shit, close this fucking door and go about your business, because I'm not fucking with you right now. That's how I feel. So she ends up closing the door and the Uber pulls off. And I get back to my hotel and I'm like crawling to my room. I get in this elevator, crawling, hands and knees crawling to my room, like in that much pain. I couldn't even take it anymore. I got to my room, I got my pain medication, I took those shits and I knocked the fuck out, right? So the next morning I wake up and she never came back to the hotel room. So I wake up and I call her. She doesn't answer. I'm like, okay. So I call her again. She doesn't answer. I text her. She does not answer. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go on Instagram, scrolling, and I see she's posting on Instagram that she's at the beach. So I'm like, okay, girl, like, as long as you're alive, like, you don't want to speak to me, you don't have to, but as long as you're good. So after that, I'm chilling. I order room service. You know, I'm chilling. I'm eating. I'm minding my business. I take my shower. I'm like, I'm straight. So she ends up coming back to the hotel room, right? Comes back in the hotel room and she just looks at me and I just look at her like, she gets her suitcase and starts packing her shit. So I'm looking at her like, she's like, Farrah, I'm leaving, and I'm done. Like, I don't think we could ever come back from this. I don't think we could ever be friends ever again. Like, after what you did last night, like, I can't fuck with you. So I'm like, girl, you can't fuck with me after what I did last night? Okay. So we have this little back and forth argument, and it got to a point where I was just like, you know what, girl? That's fine. Like, we don't ever have to speak again. Like, we don't ever have to speak again, and we don't ever have to be friends again, because at the end of the day, you're inconsiderate as fuck. So that's fine. So long story short, she ends up getting her shit and she leaves. So I'm sitting there like, well, there goes, and I booked this hotel for like, I don't know, like 4 days or something like that. And it's only been like 2 days or whatever it was. And I'm just like, it don't make no sense, like, for me to stay out here, because she was supposed to be there to help me out, you know, if I needed help after surgery or whatever. And she decided to go and do whatever she wanted to do. So she leaves, and that was that. She ended up leaving, and I ended up calling my man at the time to tell him what happened, and he booked me another flight back to New York. So I took my crippled ass, struggled with my suitcase, took my ass to the airport, and I went back to New York. And I haven't seen or spoken to the bitch ever since. And that was in 2016, and it's 2022 now. So yep, that's pretty much it.